Well, there we have the conditions. Pretty warm day. You can see the wind there affecting the lower branches of the trees. And, well, Therese Johaug saying that the classic section of this skiathlon is relatively easy. It certainly doesn't look it. And there is the profile. So 3 times around the 2.5 classic on the north side, and then 3 times round another 2.5 for the freestyle.
What's easy for Johaug is not necessarily easy for anyone else on this planet. She is that good. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of form she's in. Jess Diggins, Mike, I was sort of expecting her, from what I heard just before the end of the Tour de Ski, that she would sit out this round of the World Cup, but I think she senses the World Cup trophy is coming her way, and you don't give Therese Johaug an opportunity to get back into it, and consequently she is here to fight for as many points as she can get.
Yes, and quite right too. He's standing at, what, 932 points compared to Therese Johaug's 301. So she does have a massive lead right now. Therese will be wanting every single victory between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little unrealistic. 13 races, Mike, 6 of them are sprints. One of them's a relay action. Bib number 9, and obviously a little bit tired. Diggins going off in the central column. Mike, tactics for the skiathlon over the years. There have been very, very few cases of someone breaking away in the classic phase. I think Kowalczyk was about the only one who did it out in Pyeongchang at the pre-Olympics.
Yes, it has evolved over the years, and all those who believe they have a chance for the podium know they have to live, no matter what the pace, they have to try and live with a classic pace in the first half of the race to stand a chance to stay with the pace clearly in the second half. And Therese Johaug, she's fighting to get through already, bib number 9. I think she's played it down that this is too easy, that she won't get away, but I really think she will get away from this pack, maybe by, what, 12, 15 seconds by the handover. I think she's in such good form.
Yeah, we skied this loop often enough during the World Championships. I can tell you, it is not easy. This first little climb is sort of short and sharp, and then there's quite a fast descent and a long, long left hand.
For the first half of the race.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see the base of some of the skis, which is obviously an advantage of being in the stadium, but quite a few, I suspect.
100 meters, and if you have a bad wax, this hill will show us there's a faller, bringing another 2 down.
We've got mayhem at the back of the pack. If there aren't a few broken skis in there, I'd be mighty surprised. Number 39, that was Sandrine Brown of Canada involved there. 36 is Lovisa Modig of Sweden. She's got a broken pole. You can see in classic it makes such a difference. Plenty of broken poles there. Pia Fink of Germany, another of them. And just disentangling herself is Mirka Jokova of...
Well,
that's all sorts of drama.
Yeah, very much, and that's what 5, 6 athletes the race completely affected there, especially Mirka. She was trapped in that net for a full, 40 seconds, couldn't get the skis out of it. That's a real shame.
Yeah, and normally, Mike, there are team helpers all over the place who would have the poles handy, and that is one of the fast sections of the course, so I'm slightly surprised that no one was there.
Look at the time it's taken. That's Norwegian, no, German coach handing over some spare gear, but look at the clock.
Race. I can't remember who won it. I think Gunde Svan might have been around, but I do remember that the front pages were not of the winner. They were of Mark Crosdale, the British skier who took an unbelievable tumble going through one of the compressions.
I don't think his shoulder was ever the same again after that. For the next few years of racing, he had issues with that shoulder. I think it was from the fall here. Well, after 5 minutes, Patrick, I thought Therese Johaug would have...
offer up a huge amount of the work at the front, but she got her tactics absolutely perfect from start to finish in the Tour. Ebba Andersson likes to front run, Mike, so there she is sitting back in 3rd place. I'd be surprised if she doesn't challenge Johaug for the lead at some stage, and if Johaug doesn't get away on this next loop, maybe she has to think about trying to rest in behind someone else.
Yes, she'll have to rethink her strategy, and Ebba Andersson, when on form, is a very difficult athlete to...
Johaug's running out of opportunities on this first phase.
she's trying, and it was interesting. She had a good look back on the little climb out of the stadium where she opened up 5-6 meters. I thought she was going to try and continue the attack, but these three names from the big names from the Tour de Ski are not letting go easily.
And then a whole mass of Norwegians. Kalva, Fosselholm, led by Heidi Weng there on the far side. Little slip from Weng, and again, that will sort of kill the momentum and certainly push the pulse up. Interesting to see whether that continues.
Charlotte Kalla was third back then, 2017 championships. Good to see her, and of course she's had COVID, and tough to come back from that, and she really was suffering in training, but good to see her back.
Yeah, Charlotte Kalla, hugely popular athlete in Sweden. She got 3 Olympic golds. She's got 3 World Championship golds as well, and took the bronze actually in the Sochi Skiathlon back in 2014. But I wonder if her Olympic golds, Mike, I suspect that the relay gold in Sochi is probably the one that she's most proud of.
I think so. The finish pace that she had up that horrific climb was quite incredible. I think she was 22 seconds behind at the start, and to haul that time back, and a lot of that time was pulled back in the final 400 meters.
Yeah, it was a sensational race. Norway not having a happy time out in Sochi back then. Hennig, how's she getting on for Germany? 16 seconds off the pace. Going to be interesting to see how this settles out. One more lap of classic to go, then they change the skis for the freestyle. And if Johaug is 20 seconds clear, they're going to find that very, very difficult. Little slip from Jess Diggins, first sign of weakness from her. But Johaug's work rate, Mike, coming back towards the stadium at the end of that second loop, unreal.
It's quite unbelievable. I fear for these three now. They've lived with that early pace, which is above their comfort pace, and now this next 2 kilometers is where it'll catch up and really hurt them. And I think the chasing pack may well make contact with the first chasing 3.
Well, the interesting factor is the battle between these three. Ebba Andersson on the near side. Nepraeva definitely in better form than she was at the start of the Tour de Ski. Diggins, Mike, she looks a slightly brighter shade of red than we've seen all the way through the Tour de Ski. So I think she is one who is definitely working out of the comfort zone. She's capable of doing it, but I would say she was the one that looks in the most trouble of those three.
And I think, I absolutely agree with you there. I think a large factor is her wax. It's not as efficient as the others up in front of her. She's slipping, and every time you slip, that just zaps away a little more energy and a tiny little bit of frustration.
There's Rosie Brennan ahead of Hennig, with Charlotte Kalla 17 tucked in behind her. 16 you'll know is Heidi Weng, 29 now. Of course, the overall winner of the World Cup in 17 and 18 in the absence of Therese Johaug. And then the wheels came off a bit after or during the Olympics in 2018 for Heidi Weng, Mike.
Yes, it did. And Heidi she didn't have a good time up in Finland, well, back in Finland for the first World Cup. She didn't like the new restrictions. She didn't feel comfortable. She didn't feel safe. And she was a little nervous coming. He's getting full impact, full pressure onto the snow. Well, just under 10 seconds. I thought it looked less than that. I thought they're still okay at 6 seconds, but 9 seconds, that's going to extend, what, to 12, 15 seconds, maybe more, by the change of skis.
Yeah, I think we may well see contact between the second and the third group at some stage. Johaug, I would be surprised if she gets caught at any stage, unless she has a bit of a disaster when it comes to changing the skis. That's Kirpichenko, number 8. Was she involved in the smash earlier on? No, I don't think she was. Just in behind Emma Ribom of Sweden. Ribom, 21st in the Tour de Ski.
Johaug, what an incredible engine she has, and in the Bislett Stadium, she wanted to beat her own time over 10 kilometers on the running track, and what, 31 minutes 42 seconds, quite sensational time. and she doesn't look like a runner. She looks like a skier running. The stride isn't there, the knee lift isn't there, but she's so...
Degree turn, if there's a mass of people going around there, the third group could actually have a problem all going around there together. And now this is where you just need to calm things down, take it easy. There is absolutely no rush. You can't win the race, but you can throw it away if you get this wrong. Off with the classic skis, on with the shorter skate skis, and then there'll be a change of the poles as well. Oh, so disciplined, nicely done. Looks as though she's been practicing that.
Oh, very much. And what was it, a 12.4 second lead ahead of the rest here, or the three chasing? I thought that Therese maybe a little slower than some of the others in terms of the pit stop.
Yeah, I thought Diggins was very good there. And what you don't appreciate, Mike, is that when you've got shaky legs and a pulse of 220, changing your skis is not easy. Look, there's someone who's made a bit of a hash of it. Yeah, it's so much harder than it looks that I'm surprised we don't see more incidents.
She's forgotten about that now. She's just on full attack mode all the time, not getting good return on the right side, but she is just brilliant. And the strength is all there to carry her up the hills.
Bonus points available at 10.4 kilometres, so she's looking as though she's heading for maximum points yet again. Anderson and Diggins have broken away from Nepraeva. Slightly surprised, Nepraeva at the back of that next group. The other Norwegians are starting to come forward. Fossesholm is there, and Heidi Weng is there wearing 16 as well. And I think, Mike, they may well make contact with the with Diggins and Anderson up front. If, as you certainly thought, the pace for Diggins and Anderson was perhaps just a little bit too hot for the first 4K.
Yes, I think it does. It catches up with you later, and Fossesholm is on real attack mode there, and I think you're right. I think she will absorb, catch up with Jess Diggins and Eva Anderson. And Fossesholm, interestingly, only the second female athlete in Norway at the national championships racing out of class. So as a junior in the senior category, she won.
The exchange, it was 11 seconds. And last time we saw them, the gap had been cut to less than 8, to around 7.1. So you're absolutely right. Fossesholm is making ground. And here they come. They've closed that pretty quickly.
Well, the skis, you could just see the skis from Fossesholm and Heidi Weng looking faster, looking better. They'll have read that this time. They'll know that if it comes to a sprint finish, they have an advantage down that final descent. Nepraeva, no man's land. She wasn't able to stick with the early pace. Looks like she might be coming back into it.
Well, at 10 kilometres, Diggins some 24 seconds off the pace, having been 14. So Johaug opening up another 10 seconds on that first 2.5K loop. That is an unbelievable pace she's setting. Rosie Brennan dropping back to 14th. Looked good in the classic, Rosie Brennan. Just starting to fade a little now.
Yes, and all those athletes who have taken part in all of the World Cups this season, and they are the ones just chasing, except the Norwegians, they really will be fatigued from so many World Cups, followed by the Tour de Ski. So, you know, as this race goes on, that fatigue may be showing a little more.
Now, when you watch her tempo, Mike, do you think it's worth everyone trying to ski with a higher tempo?
I think that the taller framed figures, it's like heavyweight boxing, isn't it? Your limbs just simply cannot move at the pace of the smaller, lightweight boxer in terms of boxing. And I think there's a lot to be said for it, especially on steep climbing, for even the large, the tall athletes to try and keep the flow of energy. And that is the way, isn't it, that skating has evolved over the recent years, where frequency and tempo is more efficient than long, strong glides.
There are the bonus points. Johaug picking up the full quota of 15, as she did in the classic leg as well. Nepraeva starting to really struggle. I suspect the lactic acid levels were very high with her after that first 5K, and it's difficult to recover. Kaller in 7, Hennig of Germany back in 9 at the moment, just behind Therese Stadlober of Austria, who's having a good run.
4 or 5 years more so. That was her only weakness, was the double polling. and that wasn't weak, it was just her less effective aspect to her full flow of technique.
Well, I guess the next question is, are we going to see an attack out of this group? Ebba Andersson still leading. Fossersholm and Heidi Weng did well to catch the two in front of them on the last lap. Fossersholm looking around, looks very comfortable, Mike. I suspect she's got a plan. If it were you, where would you go?
Well, I think you're right. She looks like she's loving this. Fossersholm in third place. I think she'll go, and I think I would, if I was as strong as her, I think I would go on the stadium on the final exit onto the last 2.5. I think she can go early.
We've just had a withdrawal from Annie Alakoski of Finland. She was one of the ones involved in the impact earlier on, so I wonder whether she's actually hurt herself and decided it's better just to call it a day. So number 37 has pulled out. That won't change the things up front. Johaug, from 14 seconds clear after the classic phase, has extended that to over 30, and this is the battle for second place. Jess Diggins doing her share at the front, 34.7 behind. And, well, nothing between this group at the moment. We suspect that the Norwegians have slightly quicker skis, Mike, so when they work their way back down to the stadium, we may see a break there.
That's what I'm thinking, and great workload there from Jess Diggins, maybe realising that she needs to keep the hard work on the uphills, and if her skis aren't gliding well. But it was a pity for Diggins that her grip wax wasn't the best. That took a lot of energy out of her, maybe a little more so than the rest.
Yeah, just over 15 seconds between the chase group and the group behind them, containing Palmer Koski and Hennig and many others.
It's so good to see Charlotte Kalla, yet the time behind, it's 56 seconds, but she's 7th place, so she really has, after a very hard time, personally and in training.
Some will do her best to tuck in behind them. Jess Diggins may struggle.
I was just looking further back at some of those who were in the crash. In fact, the first athlete to fall was Patterson, bib 27. She was 2:17 behind after the classic stage, so she lost an awful lot of time in the fall.
Here we go. Andersson still leading, sensibly so. That might be her best chance. Down towards the chicane, which will take them to the right and down into the stadium. They've put a row of bollards to stop you cutting the corner too tight, and Johaug goes through. 12.5 completed, 2.5k to go, and another 100 points heading her way in the World Cup. Now this is where the glide on the skis may make the difference. Fossersholm and Weng. Diggins does manage to get in the slipstream and will come up behind Ebba Andersson. Now we may see a change of things. Heidi Weng on the outside doesn't manage to get in behind her teammate. Fossersholm has a quick look to see if she's there, and certainly an injection of pace, Mike, from the Norwegian youngster.
It's a long way out. I thought maybe I'd make an attack there. She just looks so comfortable compared to the rest, I thought, on her skis. And I think it's a sensible place to try and go. Gain yourself some advantage, because you don't want to be in a pack coming down those long descents back in towards the finish line. Nepraeva
leading this group. It's Rosie Brennan of USA at the back of the group, just behind Palmer Koski, who doesn't look particularly happy. Brennan hasn't looked happy at any stage, but she's still got her teeth gritted. She's sticking on in there. But I wonder whether that's the Tour de Ski fatigue that has affected so many athletes over the years.
It really has. And Rosie Brennan, there is fatigue there. You can see it. Well, here's an athlete being lapped, one of the fallers.
Yeah, that's Oleg of Ukraine, who's being pulled off. 2.5 kilometers lost to Therese Johaug, and Fossersholm has made her move. Heidi Weng hasn't been able to go with it. Jess Diggins is the one who's trying to close the gap up again, Mike. This is where Fossersholm has to really establish that lead. If she can get another 3 or 4 seconds, that might be safe.
It's an incredibly brave attack. I thought she's got that kind of mindset. I thought if you're going to take the pain, take it early, get your gap and then control it. But if it fails, the rest will have the advantage. So she has
to raise Johaug since she came out of the stadium. So she's starting to make an impression. And that might concern Johaug, although she's close enough to home to wrap this one up. The race now is for that third spot on the podium. And Diggins, who's been yo-yoing from first to third on, you know, all the uphills, she seems to get to the front. The downhills, she's losing it. So she may have a word with the technicians, having praised them highly after the Tour de Ski.
Oh, it's so annoying if your skis are even fractionally slower on the descent, and it's absolutely equal all the way. That you don't glide, you don't work as easily on the uphills. Fossesholm still having really to work hard to maintain this break.
Yeah, 1,200 metres to go in the women's skiathlon here. Fossesholm is away. Second place is hers, provided she can stay on her feet. She's got lots of support. The coaches love seeing a new youngster come through. Nervous look over the shoulder, which might indicate that she's just pushed the accelerator a bit too early. She went at 2,500 metres to go, and Ebba Andersson is the one who's now starting to fight back. She's certainly closed the gap. Sweden's Andersson is closing in on second place again, and she's bringing Weng and Diggins with her.
Oh, and Fossesholm, only 19-year-old. The bravery, she's not as familiar with these tracks as the rest, who most of them have had a World Championships in, 2017 on these tracks. Fossesholm, this is a little unknown to her, and she really is suffering over the top of this climb. Most of the work is done to this point.
Yeah, once over the bridge, Mike, you've got a long descent, a little bit of recovery, and then another 30-metre climb up to the top of the hill behind the stadium. So I think she'll be safe if she can get there with that 4-second lead. The next group coming through, the same old names are there. Nepre round safely, but a little uneasy on the feet. And the sprint for the line starts as Johaug crosses the line. Another very, very impressive victory from her. And she just notches one World Cup win up after another. Is she on the charge to win the overall World Cup this year, having missed out on so much of the season? Well, we'll have to see how that develops. Fossesholm, for me, is the performance of the day. Absolutely sensational from the youngster.
Very much. A 19-year-old, mentioned it earlier, she is a real sensation, a real star now and in the future.
And the sprint
in the legs, all of these athletes here having committed to the Tour de Ski and the World Cups in between, but taking nothing away from the Norwegians. They're back, and they're back with a vengeance.
Nepreva does well to win the group, having led for so long. It all looked so easy. Fourth in the overall World Cup, Mike, which for someone of her ability is slightly surprising. But I think fairly early in her career, after her Tour de Ski victory, when she absolutely collapsed, she realised that doing the full season wasn't really her cup of tea.
No, she always seemed to pick up colds or little setbacks, some injuries along the way. She wasn't ever strong enough to keep pushing all the World Cups the whole season.
So I think a star is born here in Lahti today. Johaug keeps burning brightly with the win, but Fossesholm, fantastic. And from Ica Ski Club, she will be the toast of the town tonight. Second place to her. There she is on the left-hand side of your screen, wearing 13. Unlucky for some, not for her. And what did you make of Heidi Weng, Mike?
Yes, I thought she was looking very good, and the desire was back on full attack mode. She knew what she had to do in the final steep climb, and I thought initially she was making a charge for Fossesholm. Of course, 6 seconds, that's not possible, but she really looked back to something of her best.
And if Weng, Fossesholm, Andersson and Diggins had all been on exactly the same skis, what would the order have been?
Yeah, I think Jess Diggins was unlucky there. I think Jess would have had a real fighting chance for that, certainly third place, possibly even second place. And I must correct myself. I said that Charlotte Kalla was ninth. She's actually seventh. I was looking at the 13.8 kilometre marker at the finish line. She was seventh, 105 behind. So a very strong finish from Kalla.
Well, the tail enders still coming across the line. Many of these involved in that collision on the very first lap here in Lahti. The result sheet, Johaug Fossesson Veng, a Norwegian, 1, 2, 3. What a way to come back to the World Cup Tour. Ebba Andersson, winner of the last stage of the Tour de Ski, in 4th. Jess Diggins, the Tour de Ski champion, in 5th. And good work from her. Rosie Brennan, 11th place. I think she'll be happy enough with that. Niskanen right up there as well to keep the locals happy. Pia Fink of Germany, who was definitely involved in that collision early on, 3 minutes 31 behind today's winner.
Caitlin Patterson, yeah, 4:33. She was first to go down and bringing many athletes with her.